So let's take our VBA experience a step further. Once again, well worth your time to dig into this page. Again, I provide the link down below in the description. Get into the object model, right? Learn what that's all about. Because as you become more and more familiar with working inside of Excel and the objects that it consists of, the easier time you're going to have getting in the code and knowing what to write to be able to get into the objects that you want to be able to work with. So well worth your time to sit down and to dig through all of them. And find ones that pop out to you. If you work with charts, there's a chart object inside of there. If you work with a lot of sheets or ranges or cells, right? Look for those objects that kind of resonate with you and that you believe that you want to automate tasks within. The others will come. As you want to learn something new, you'll find that you need to come back here and read up a little bit about another object and its properties and methods and events. So I'm going to put that away for right now. Let's get back into our VBA window. I'm just going to clean up my immediate window. I don't need all that. Let's just delete that. I'll close my immediate window. All right, so now the immediate window, again, it was immediate. It gave us a good idea of just getting familiar with syntax, using objects, the dot notation to be able to traverse that hierarchy and get into properties and methods. But if it's something that you want to automate, something you want to be able to reuse, push a button, get it to run, automate some task, then you're going to want to create more structure to your code, your VBA code, and you do this through what are called modules and procedures. Now, you saw a quick preview of this earlier. Looking at my project panel here, I've got my book one. It's now got reference to each of those sheets that I've added to my workbook. And then I've got a modules folder here. This came about because I went to Insert Module. It created a new module. I'll give that a double click just to open it. And here's my module. This is where you can start to write your VBA procedures, where you want to be able to create your code that you want to automate some task or series of tasks within Excel. So I created that add size list one earlier, just as a demonstration of working with the application object and one of its methods, the add custom list method. Passed in an array and it created that list for me all programmatically through this procedure here. Now, once again, the module, it's just a fancy place for us to be able to store our structured code. And we call the structured code, we call it procedures. Now, I want to be able to add another procedure here where I can call to the procedure and get it to do something for me, whatever it is that we specify. Well, to add a procedure to a module, we go up to Insert, Procedure. Now, inside of VBA, there are three different types of procedures you can create. What we're going to focus on here within the fundamentals is called a sub-procedure. So first thing we get to do is give it a name. And I'm just going to call this fun with, it's a W, with procedures. Procedure. Okay, the type, remember I mentioned there's three, sub, function, and property. Most common is going to be a sub-procedure. And that's what we're going to stick with here, at least during the fundamental section of this Excel VBA training. So a sub-procedure, it just runs code. You tell it what to do, you type out the lines of code, what do you want it to do, what do you want to automate, and it just does it. Line by line by line, top to bottom, it just runs your code. Great. Sub-procedure, its scope, we're going to make it public for now. And really short, kind of high level, all that means is this procedure called Fun with Procedures, Fun with Procedure, let's do an S on there. It's public. It can become available to any other procedure within this module or any other module within this project. It has a scope. Its availability is available to any other procedure within this, potentially within this project, because it's set as public. If it was private, then it would only be available to other procedures within this same module. So I could go up to Insert to Module, and I could create another module and put procedures in there. It's a way for us to organize and structure our code. But when you mark it as private, it's only available within this module. Okay? So again, fundamentals here. Fun with procedures is the name. No spaces in your procedure names. Won't allow it. I try not to put special characters in there. It's a sub procedure. It's going to run some code, and it's public, so it's potentially available anywhere within this project. I'm going to hit OK. And there's the little stub, kind of the signature lines of my procedure. So now I get to tell it what to do. Well, I like to structure my code within the procedures just to make it a little bit more readable. So I use my tab keys just to tab over. Not required. I get that question all the time. I'm up in front of a classroom and I use my tab key and using my enter keys and trying to create a little bit more readability within the code. The tabs are not required of you. You don't have to do it. Everything can be left aligned. That's fine. Okay, but to make it more readable, I'll tab over and I'll create some more structure within my code. So first thing I'm going to do here is insert a comment. You add comments by using a single quote or apostrophe. And I'm just going to say, this is a comment. I'll hit my enter key and you're going to see it change color. Green. You see green lines. They start with an apostrophe. They are comments. They don't do anything as far as running code. They're just there for us as notes, comments left by us or other developers within our VBA project. So this is a procedure. I'm going to make it really simple just so we start out again with the fundamentals of working with procedures and structuring our code. So I'm going to use a built-in method here. I'm going to use the message box method. It's just MSG box. This is built into the Excel object model. So if I come back into this window, I'm just going to type in MSG box. There it is. This is in the language reference section. All right, here we go. So, it's giving me the constants. I want some more information about the message box object. Let's find a better one here. Let's say Excel VBA message box. There we go. Bing set up as the default. All right, here's a good one. So MSG box function. That was another one of the procedures. I called it a method just a moment. Very close. All right. Displays a message box in a dialog box, waits for the user to click a button, and returns an integer, a numeric value, indicating which button the user clicked. All right. So I'm just going to say that MSG box function takes some parameters. The first thing it wants is a prompt. What do you want to prompt the user with? I'm just going to say, this is a MSG box. Let's close that, I'm going to hit my down arrow here just to do that line. Watch what happens to the MSG box. It's got an uppercase MS, capital M, capital B box. And I'm going to run this. So this is a simple procedure. Not much going on in here, but just so we can see, it's called Fun with Procedures. I'm going to move that window out of the way. I'm going to go back to Excel. Now, there's many different ways to run your procedures to get them to activate. You could do it through the VBA window. I could just click into the procedure, go to run, and hit the run button. We saw that earlier. But typically, your users aren't going to go into the VBA window. We actually want to keep them away from the VBA window. So what I'm going to do, let's move that, is I'm going to go to my View tab. I'm going to go over to Macros. Another name for procedures is macros, kind of the front end user term. Go to macros, view macros, and there's my Fun with Procedures, and I'll run it. And there's my prompt. This is a message box. I'll hit OK. Now remember, the MSG box, let's bring this window back here for just a moment. It displays a dialog box. There it is. There's our dialog box. It's got a button in it, by default an OK button. And it waits for the user to click a button and returns an integer, a numeric value indicating which button the user clicked. All right, cool. So I'm going to hit OK. It'll close that. I'm done. But as far as the code's concerned, when the users click that button, a numeric value got returned back to the procedure that we could then potentially use. Now, there are so many different paths that we can go down right now within this discussion. But once again, fundamentals. Creating a procedure, you then call that procedure or run that procedure to run whatever code you put in there. And we just did that. Now we could take this, again, so many different paths. But wait for it. That OK button did return something back to us. And we'll see that here in a moment. But get this down first. Get an idea of working with a procedure. You create a module. Insert module. Once you got a module, such as module 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever you got there, you can then go to Insert Procedure. There it is. Make sure I'm clicked out here. Insert Procedure. Give it a name. No spaces. It's a sub-procedure. You can make it public by default. Good to go. And try out the message box. See what you get. Put another message in there. Whatever you want to do. Right? But get a feel for creating a procedure. Then we'll take it a step further. But once again, wait for it. Then we'll jump to the next video and take a look at what you can do with that numeric value from the message box.